Ready?
Yes, you're on.
I am Dr. Schaefer, Executive Director of CUDA. By this time, I hope you read and digested the Miami University Research Study Cincinnati Parks bow hunting program and the previous given document, which we gave you again, which basically finds findings which we've given you a number of times down through the years. Despite giving numerous scientific studies, this ineffective cruel deer management effort created and led for years by a park employee hunter who did not even live in our city continues, even though there's no scientific studies justifying it. There are only two Cincinnati valid deer studies. One, the Clifton Deer Program, and two, the Miami University study. The aerial flyovers were not properly undertaken to yield a valid scientific result. There is no justification for what's going on in our parks. The amazing number of false claims coming from certain park employees is absolutely shocking. The claim that deer levels must be between 10 and 20 deer per square mile for our parks embedded in our neighborhoods is absolutely false. Quote, ecologically, these urban areas are able to support much higher deer numbers, ODNR publication 5477. Deer could be 40 to 60 per square mile and be okay. Dr. Michael Tonkovitz, the ODNR Deer Management Administrator, says, quote, bow hunting in urban areas often not practical and not socially acceptable. What really happened here was a recreational deer kill program created for a special interest group, while real forest concerns were ignored. In 2019, you were given an extensive draft of an urban deer vaccination birth control program for numerous parks, requested by a previous supervisor. Certain park new employees killed it, so we did not move forward. We are not going away, and you need to be asking a lot of serious questions about this program, and a very extensive investigation needs to be done in this program. And we will be happy to engage with you factually. I'm a retired life scientist, trained in zoology, botany, all this stuff that is being ignored.
Okay, that concludes our public comments today. We have approval of the June 18th minutes, and I believe we have to roll call since we have Commissioner Nyer joining us remotely. Hello, John.
Good morning, everybody.
Great. So is there a motion to approve the minutes? A second?
Second.
President Norton, yes. Vice President Lee.
Yes.
Commissioner McCallum. Commissioner.
Yes.
Great. All right. Next up, we have some guests here to present Cincinnati Legends Putt House at Freedom Park. This is Jeffrey R. Anderson, Real Estate and Team.
Thank you. My name is Jeff Anderson, and I own Jeffrey Anderson Real Estate, and we also own the Filson restaurant. We're proposing on lot 18, which abuts the Filson restaurant, and right now is basically just an open area to build a putting course, and very similar to what you'll see up here. And if you maybe bring up the aerial trace, I'll show you exactly what it's going to look like. Right here. Okay, there's yard houses on one side, we're on the other side. What we'd like to do is, this is a synthetic putting course. It's very much like real turf. And there's been a number of them built similar to this. Actually, Tiger Woods actually owns 24 of these, and they're called Hot Strokes. Ours is going to be called Putt House. It's in conformity with the use of lot 18, because there's no real buildings. We have a temporary structure that we're going to use that's an Airstream trailer. And this is basically in keeping with the plans that the banks are formulating. But this is a temporary use. We're hoping to sign a lease with the city for 3 years with possible extensions. But it's a way to utilize to bring to bring people down to the banks, to get more families to come down there. It'll be in conjunction with the Filson. We'll be running it out of the Filson. And it's just a use that we, number one, can add security. We decided to name it the Legends. So what we would like to do is actually name each hole after a potential famous Cincinnati council person, Ohio person in relation, and also try to promote the Freedom Center. So with that in mind, it would also be, we're hoping to make it a little bit on the educational side. But it's all very first class, upscale, keeps the lot open, which maintains the visibility that the banks needs, that the lot has for the Freedom Center. And as I say, this is a temporary use. It coordinates with what we think is the future use of the banks and the redevelopment of the banks. And I'm more than happy to answer any questions. This is something, and we really thank Jason for helping to move this along. Our game plan would be to get in front of City Council on the 6th of August or the 5th of August, wherever the meeting is, get it approved for the lease. And then we would actually like to start construction sometime around the 15th and actually be open this year so that we can show that, with all of the things that are going on at the banks and the redevelopment of the banks or the further development of the banks, that there's something actually happening, this year in this timing period. So I'm more than happy to answer any questions. Our investment is probably a little over $1 million in building this. We understand that at the end of 3 years, if there's that we can extend for a year at a time, possibly, or if for some reason the banks wants the property back, they can have the property back. We've made a financial commitment to donate $100,000 a year to the Freedom Center to help offset for the property. Allows us to bring more people down here, bring families down here. And this concept has been very successful in other parts of the country. So that's kind of our pitch, and we appreciate your all's help in helping us to move this along. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Please have some. I was just giving my colleagues the opportunity to ask.
You say there are, you said there are other locations. Can you tell us about some of the other situations?
Yeah,
that are comparable to Cincinnati and comparable to the area that you want to develop?
It's the concept, as I say, I'm kind of copying a concept called Pop Stroke, okay? And it's actually, if you sit at the Filson and you look at the lot, it is exact duplicate of what Tiger Woods has built in his operations called Pop Stroke. It's a full service restaurant. And then that restaurant helps accommodate the fact that we can have all kinds of events, bring people down, and it interrelates with the idea that we have an entertainment venue, which my philosophy is that I think today that if you want to be successful, that the more entertainment that you can add to a food service, the better off you're going to be. So I think it's going to be an asset for all the restaurants down at the banks. We're going to try and utilize as much as possible, help the Freedom Center get more people coming down there, get more knowledge about the Freedom Center and what it does and what it represents. But yes, there's these pictures that I'm showing they're actually a pop stroke test in Delray Beach. We're not going to have palm trees, needless to say, but we're going to do, it's just a very first class, neat operation. And it allows, as I say, there's no real physical buildings. We have an Airstream trailer we're going to use for checking in and out that we already own. So everything is pretty much portable, but it allows, it's really just a big landscape area.
Correct me if I'm wrong, this would be the first of its kind in Ohio. Or is there somewhere else?
No, in Ohio, yes, it would be the first of its kind. Though there are some other putting courses, but nothing of this caliber.
Correct, yeah.
Okay. the actual synthetic turf that we use here is very similar to what they actually use in real golf courses when they want to use a synthetic operation, because it putts just like real turf. If you're a aficionado, if you're a golfer, you would enjoy playing this.
This is exciting. I think it, we'll do all the things that you said it will do. It will bring people down to the banks, which is what we want more of all the time. What are the operating months? Will you close?
It's 100% weather related. So we're going to be open every day that the weather will allow you
Okay, got it.
to be open.
Year round.
Year round, yes.
Got it.
And if the restaurant, opens, let's say from 11 to 11, it's going to be well lit. So it's going to also add that great area of security to an area now that is pretty dark at night. And also, it's going to, as I say, it's going to be trying to operate from like 11 to 11, the same hours that the restaurant operates.
I have to ask this question. This board has had a lot of conversation about the use of turf in parks. It's been a hot issue, and the big issue is the presence of these chemicals in some of this turf. It exists in some turf, and other turf it's forever chemicals like PFAS.
Yeah, this is all synthetic turf, so it's AstroTurf. Okay, the companies that is installing it is actually is owned by Shaw Carpet, which is actually the company that owns the AstroTurf product. And so it's all synthetic. It doesn't need to be watered or anything like that. And that's why, except the only watered areas are the landscape areas. But it is I don't know if that answers your question, but.
Well, the question really is about the presence of these forever chemicals in some of these turfs. And I know there are many I don't know much about turf. Okay, I just want to be clear about that. But I do know as much that there are, of all the synthetic turfs, there are turfs that have PFAS in them, and there are turfs that do not. And the question is, have you evaluated this turf in terms of the presence of some of these chemicals?
You know more about it than I do. I honestly don't. I can't say. I can just say this is very high end, and it's been put into there's probably 12 or 13 states that actually have pop strokes in them. So I would think that the quality of what we're doing here pretty much eliminates the problem of having any kind of chemical negativity.
Right, we're by the river, right? So I think it's an important thing for us to look at. Can we look at the spec on the?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, and I have a spec of it. I'm not qualified to comment whether or not that does or not.
You and me both.
Travis and his team are working with Jeff's team on the permitting process and kind of the specs, whether it's the lighting or whether it's certainly the turf. So we'll make sure we run that down with the manufacturer.
Okay, great. Thank you. Any other questions? So my understanding is the lease, once complete, will be presented to this board for approval. We may need to call a special meeting to approve it, but that's an easy thing for us to do.
Okay,
Something that can.
thank you very much.
So,
Everybody's been so accommodating. I know I'm a being a developer, I'm always on a tight time schedule, because I always try and project and make things happen much faster than anybody else really wants them to happen. So my goal is to have this thing open and operating by the time the November 15th football game is against Pittsburgh. So that'd be great to have this open and being able to show people that there's been a lot of progress made and things are happening down at the banks.
that would be very exciting. Well, thank you for coming.
Yeah, and thank you very much.
Okay, let's see.
We still have an action item with this. We need to approve activating the clause in the cooperative agreement between the city and county.
So there are two steps here. The one I mentioned will be approval of the lease, which we'll get at a later date, and we'll act on that when we receive it. But the first is the acceptance of lot 18 from Hamilton County. Great. Is there a motion to enact that clause?
So
Is there a second?
Second.
President Norton,
Yes.
Vice President Lee,
Yes.
Commissioner McConnell.
Yes.
Yes.
Great. We welcome you all to stay for the balance of the, but I just want to offer that you don't have to.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
Great. Okay, we are up with the Alt Park Advisory Council. Always a pleasure.
I'm Blair Whitney. I'm the new president of the Alt Park Advisory Council. I'm stepping into the very formidable shoes of Eric Dittmer, who's had the helm for the last couple of years. I want to start out by thanking you for the opportunity to give you an update on what we're working on at Alt Park, and to thank my fellow trustees who are joining us this morning, as well as Shannon and Lee All Carter, who are just the best supporters you can imagine of Alt Park, but as you all well know, also of so many other worthy causes around Cincinnati. So this morning, I'm just going to run through very quickly just a brief reminder about our impact and our reason for our founding on Alt Park. Talk briefly about our growing areas of concentration in terms of our focus at the park. Touch briefly on areas an area of concern, and then talk to you about the Discovery Trail. We always like to start and come back to our why at Alt Park. And I think that these photos are impactful because it's very hard to imagine today what the park looked like in the 1970s as an area that was overrun by a motorcycle gang. This is why APAC was founded. It's our belief that by offering people positive reasons to be in the park, that we are able to keep the park the pristine jewel that it is today. In terms of the events and the focus that we have at the park, in the last couple of years, we have spent a lot of time thinking about how we could diversify the sorts of events that we were offering as a way of drawing even more people into the park. We've sort of had a twofold approach with that. On the one hand, we have had a lot more emphasis on nature education. We are very fortunate to have Dean Regas as our neighbor close to the park. Dean has come to us and now does several astronomy-focused events at the park during the year, the Telescope Fest and the Supermoon. He's also been instrumental in helping us find ways of adding astronomy or sky-focused educational opportunities into some of our other events. Like if you come to our Summer Music Festival, you might find Dean there with a scope set up, it's solar viewers. And this is also where, which we'll talk about more in a moment, the Discovery Trail sort of fits into that nature education, drawing families and other folks, not just from our immediate neighborhood, but from around the region. And the other prong of our sort of renewed focus in the last couple of years has been on bringing arts to the park. I like to say selfishly that I think two of the things that Cincinnati does best are our parks and our arts offerings, just bar none for a city of this size. So we've embarked the last couple of years on a really wonderful partnership with parks to make these events possible. These are free events that we've had just been really amazed at the numbers of people that have come out to it. It started with just a CSO and Cincinnati Contemporary Jazz offering along with a sort of picnic theme in the evening. This year we're adding a performance of Much Ado About Nothing from the Cincinnati Shakespeare Company. And then we are looking towards next year and adding a third event, which would be a Cincinnati Children's Theater performance. So the other side of the coin, and we'll just talk about this briefly, is just a reminder that unfortunately, as lovely as the park is, we are not immune to issues. We're not immune to crime. Over the last few years, these issues have run the gamut from lower level incidents such as, vandalism. I think the motorbike and e-bike issues that parks are having an issue with, much beyond all park. But we've also had more significant problems. Decent exposure, illegal parties have been sort of an ongoing problem, even an arson incident. There's some details that are included in the appendix if you are looking for more information. The good part of this is that we have worked very hard to forge a trust-based partnership with CPD. We have had wonderful response and ongoing engagement from District 2. APAC now has our first official liaison with CPD. It's really streamlined our communications with them, just having a point person to handle that communication. District 2 has taken a very proactive, preventative policing approach. They've been very responsive. The communication is robust and ongoing. And overall, we're happy to report that incidents are down. District 2 tells us calls for service are down, but the park is a very inviting space for everyone. So we have coordinated with Jason and his team along the way in terms of communication and to address property damage. But just to inform you all, we continue to look to parks for help and for strategies with proactive crime prevention. But this is the real reason why we're here. We'd like to talk to you about our Discovery Trail project. As I'm sure you're aware, we had, undertook a redo of our playground. We had our groundbreaking at the end of last year. And this is really like the complement to that, the other piece to that project. We feel pretty firmly that by encouraging kids to explore nature from a young age, that they will develop a lifelong love of not just of the environment, but also of Cincinnati parks. And our hope is that, perhaps there is a future Alton Park trustee, parks director, parks commissioner in our park today. So the Discovery Trail design process has been a very collaborative effort between Alton Park Advisory, Parks, Woodburg Landscaping. We engaged community consulting. We've also gotten input and guidance from Cincinnati Nature Center. We've had a design that has evolved significantly over the process based on our understanding of the site's ecology. We had a number of focus groups with children and their parents. We've got guidance from nature education specialists on Jason's team, and we've also had a lot of guidance from naturalists with parks on ways that trying to balance our desire to create this trail, but to do it in a way that's sensitive to the environment, particularly the trees that are already in place. So I'm going to walk you through the trail a little bit. Forgive me because the map is kind of small, but as you can see, there's a very small number 1 there, but the playground sort of situates you toward the bottom of the map where the playground is today. So this trail will sort of spur off from the playground and then gives families a couple of different options, either to loop back around to the playground itself or to go a little bit deeper into the forest. Our hope is that it's going to provide a very unique way for adults and kids to explore and engage with the natural world. It's a complement to our existing trail system. It hooks into, or it abuts right up to the Brook Trail down at the bottom in the valley. We're going to have elements along the trail that are going to encourage play, exploration, learning, what the community folks would call risky play. So a little bit less guided, a little bit more perhaps how I grew up playing in the woods. An emphasis on natural materials, reclaimed materials, using materials that parks already has in boneyards. And we're trying to give people easy ways, identifiable entrances, exits, easy to find your way along the trail, so it shouldn't be intimidating. The first stop on our tour here is like at the entrance. Our intent is to have a sound garden feature along with a stump walk that would be one of the highlights here. The thought being that rather than having something like this deeper in the forest where it might disturb folks and or wildlife that are hiking, having this positioned where it is close to the playground lets kids sort of explore these different sound generating experiences between thunder drums or this is called an amadinda or nature xylophone. It's a very large musical instrument that are, going to give kids some sound exploration opportunities. As we move forward down the trail a little bit, there will be a seating area that's going to give parents a chance to observe their kids playing. There'll be everything will be constructed with natural materials that'll blend right into the environment. And in my opinion, one of the coolest parts of this will be, we hope, the earnocular, which included a photo of a different earnocular. And it's designed to amplify the sounds of nature around you. Bird song, the wind through the trees. It'll be positioned so that it'll capture the sounds coming from the bottom of the brook trail, valley below. And it's a very unique feature. Cincinnati Nature Center has one, but this would make it only the second one that we have in the region. And then our third stop along the trail will be a new, calling a picnic and play area. It's actually very close to the observatory circle. It will be visible as you're driving into the park along Observatory Circle. It'll give families an area with picnic benches to sit, and it'll give kids an additional area in which to play. It is very well suited for this spot. We don't have to worry about damaging any existing tree roots. It's already sort of an open, just grassy space. There'll be a timber triangle, different little tunnel to let kids explore, and what I'm sure will be the most popular feature, at least with kids, probably not with parents, would be the sand pit, which will give kids a range of ages an opportunity to play and explore. And as we always like to finish, how else can impact be a model to Cincinnati?
This is very exciting. First, I just want to say, as I've said, every time you've been here, thank you. APAC does it all, from creating park advocacy to raising the dollars to the most important thing, which is doing the work, right? Somebody's got to do the work. So thank you for everything that you do. And I wish we had many more APACs, right, to advocate for these parks. So this is exciting. As I was looking through it, I was thinking, this is a much bigger project than $150,000 project, right? So what is the scale of this project, and what's the timeline, and what is the overall budget?
Budget is, so the $150,000 will cover the whole project.
Okay.
Yep. So today we'll accept up to $150,000. Some of that will be spent in the form of contracting with Bloomberg to, they've already done the design services, of course, but to purchase and install this stuff. Some of it went to our natural resources team and conservation and land management team that's already cut that new trail. So that new trail did not exist before, but they designed that and added it in. And then that work has happened in June. I think it's complete now. It was almost complete when we were out there a couple months ago or a month ago. And then the rest of it will go to installing the playground. And then, of course, as they always do, APAC has pledged to help us keep the playground looking nice. That sand will need refreshed every so often. And some of the natural elements will need a little bit more maintenance than some of the more sturdy manufactured playground equipment. But
So what's the timeline for the installation of these features?
I believe it could be as early as August, September. Like
That's great.
It is as soon as we have the necessary approvals and what needs to happen in the city.
the next step will be for us to submit the, basically they'll write a letter that says their donation is contingent upon awarding this to Wimberg Landscaping, since they've chosen them and worked with them to develop this. And so then we'll get that through purchasing, we'll get them under contract, and then my understanding is they're ready to go.
A lot of people have worked very hard to really work all the time and effort to make this useful.
Evident. Questions, comments?
Sounds like a great idea. I did go to the park and that was fabulous. You guys have done a great job with that. And this is a partnership that we value and that it's served the community extremely well.
Thank you. We hope that this will only serve to draw more broadly from around the region, really give families something quite unique.
So what is the term of a chair of APAC? 2 years, okay. You're just at the beginning.
I am very much.
Congratulations on completing your term.
And thank you for stepping up.
No, thank you very much.
Anything further? I think we need a motion to approve the acceptance of the donation. And a second?
Second.
Board,
Yes.
Vice President Lee,
Yes.
Kellum,
Yes.
Yes.
And as I said to our first guest, you all are welcome to stay for the balance of the park board meeting. But you don't. Thank you. All right, next up. Oh, this is an exciting one. So
You're here.
okay, when we load all. How many minutes, hours, and meetings we have discussed any particular topic? This one would be up there.
It's a good one.
This one will be up there. So, Jason, kick us off to discuss the Sinton campus renovation and the biochar facility.
Invite Travis up as well.
Travis,
Yep.
morning.
So this is exciting stuff. We've obviously been working on this one for a while. In fact, originally, this predates me. There was a small budget put aside. And when we brought KCF under contract, it was under contract to design both the renovation for Sinton and the renovation that happened at Ludlow. So that contract has been extended several times. The plans for Sinton have grown quite a bit and been through many iterations, including KCF won the contract to design biochar. Originally, biochar, again predating me, was going to be placed out at Deal Road in Mount Airy. We went through several different iterations of that, including potentially putting it in order. We had a lot of good meetings with Springfield Township. They were pretty excited for that. And then ultimately landed on the Sinton campus concept, which we have been working on very hard for the last year to get us to this point. We now have 100% drawings from KZF, and they are ready to be put out to bid once the city's financial services get turned back on here in July. And we're really excited to move forward with this. So we come before you today to kind of walk you through the designs and talk about kind of the full gamut of what we've got planned here and what we're excited to bring to the park system. So Kate's going to bring up the presentation for those at home. Here we go. So you can see the aerials of Sinton campus. It's actually just right up the hill behind our building here. There's a path that takes us up there that, like many of our paths, is mostly just a stormwater trail that runs down the hill. But it gets us up to Sinton. The Sinton garage, you can go to the next slide. So that's an overview there. It's on a ridge. One of the beautiful things about Eden Park is it's just a bunch of ridges which create all these cool valleys for the roads to go through. But currently it is mostly just this 1955 old warehouse garage building that we have over the years patched together and added things to, including the existing auxiliary building that our maintenance team uses. We're going to go through each of this individually, but all told, we're going to renovate the existing 15,000 square foot warehouse building. We're not going to touch the existing auxiliary building, but then we're going to build a second auxiliary building that'll be 3,250 square feet. It'll be for our electricians. They've moved around a bunch. Most recently, they were down at Central Avenue. They've been moved to down at Smale Park, but now we're going to give them their own home. And then lastly, we're going to create the 3,700 square foot biochar production facility. And then the big piece too is that we're going to overall redevelop the kind of site conditions, create a lot of workable operation space, right? Some park stuff happens inside, but a lot of it happens out on the spaces that are around our indoor spaces. So that's the overview. So this is the Senton garage from a couple different views. At the bottom, you see a couple of the elevations of what will be redesigned. Overall, again, this is a 1955 building. You guys toured it a year or so ago when we did a tour. It is not in the greatest of shape. Our team makes it work, but the area where you have your lunch or your break is also the same area where you pull in a lawnmower, and all of that happens in the same space with no separation at all. So what you'll see here is moving left to right. On the left side of the upper picture, we have what will be the East operations area. And so we're going to completely redesign that and make that into really good workable space. The middle, you have the office space. Currently, one of the offices is like an old shipping container. We're going to create really good office space that will be both for our facilities team and our operations team, including a conference room. And then that lower area, which was the front of it, as you walk into the building, will be like a break room space that could also have meetings in it, but it could also just be a lounge area. It'll have a kitchenette and everything like that. And then at the very top of the picture, we'll have separate men's and women's restrooms, but then we'll also have two single bathrooms that will have showers in them as well. And then there'll also be a locker room area. So really just create a great indoor space and meeting space, modern space. And most importantly, we'll have separate ventilation systems or separation of the ventilation from the other spaces. On the right side of the photo at the top, or image at the top, will be kind of a workspace that we haven't even programmed yet. It could be a metal shop. It could be a shop where we create picnic tables and put together benches. Then below that on the image will be a dedicated wood shop that will have a dust collection system that our facilities team picked out. That will keep that a really good space for all of our woodworking. And then at the bottom will be like a loading dock flex area that will allow us to receive shipments and kind of take them in off big trucks. And then also could serve as a storage space, could serve as another workspace. And then the right side of the image is the existing kind of lean-to addition space that's been added on. We're not going to touch that other than to make sure it's like all shored up. So we're going to completely replace the building's envelope, and which will add a ton of efficiency as far as the heat and the cooling of it. And then I mentioned kind of all the other pieces of it. And then the other piece of it is that we have worked with KZF to design the possibility of adding solar panels to the top. As you saw in that first image, this is a really big building and has got a lot of space for potential solar panels. And so we're going to bid that out as an alternative, and we're hoping to get that. We're hoping to be able to include that in the project as well. So this is the auxiliary building. It's pretty much just a pole barn, but it's really important for our team because it's going to allow us to park our lift trucks indoors overnight. These are some of our most expensive equipment. Currently, we park them outside. In fact, one of them is parked down at under the Roebling Bridge. So trying to find space. It'll be the first time they've had dedicated indoor parking. And then it's just designed to have kind of maximum flexibility. So it'll mostly be just an empty room that they'll be able to add workbenches or workstations or storage or however they want to, but it'll really designed to be very minimalistic. Next slide. And then of course, the biochar facility. We've been excited about biochar. One of the first meetings I had before I was even employed by Parks, but after I had been chosen as the Parks Director was to start meeting with Great Parks, Hamilton County, and forge a partnership there to produce this. Obviously, we've talked a lot about biochar, but this is really exciting and really complex. So as you can see there, the building looks very similar to the pole barn for the electricians, but it has this covered, but kind of cubbied space. I don't know if that's a word or not, but I'll use cubbied space on the left side of it where it'll have the wood chipper or the shredder, but it'll be in a space that will minimize the sound to the rest of the site. And then as you look at the top right-hand corner, you can see the equipment layout. The bigger rectangle is of the feedstock bin or the moving floor, which will slowly move wood chips. Once you dump them in, it'll slowly move them to the distribution point where it will then get fed into the skinnier long rectangle, which is the pyrolysis machine, where we'll be heating those wood chips in extremely high heat, extremely low oxygen in order to create the biochar. And then that room will also contain the PRD, or basically the electric generator that will take that heat from producing biochar at 1500 degrees and will turn it into electricity that will help power the whole site. And then I got excited about telling you about the site conditions. So it's a 2.5 acre campus. As you saw from the existing images, right now it's a lot of wood piles and gravel piles and boneyards. We heard from our friends at Alt Park, but we're gonna really soup this up. So we're gonna do a complete security fence around it. We have a fence around most of it now, but there's certainly areas where that fence is in disrepair and you can get in pretty easily. I've heard several times from the team that someone will just walk out from the back, kind of just cutting through. We're going to resurface the existing main operations areas. That's that area that is in dark gray. So we're also going to fix up the entrance a little bit. Currently, you have to make a really hard turn. We'll still have to make that hard turn because there's an existing electrical telephone pole there, or electrical pole there. But we're going to soften it a little bit and create it a little bit better, and then just re-pour it all so the grade's much better and it's a much better surface to drive on. And then we'll also pave kind of up to the second level. Those dash lines throughout, there's a lot of elevation change here. And so we're also going to in a couple areas, do some site work to expand the amount of usable area. And then lastly, it's going to have the infrastructure for electric vehicle charging stations, which we think we're going to be able to get those through a partnership with the Office of Environment Sustainability. They have access to a grant for those charging stations, but this project will provide all of the infrastructure for that. And then the other site, so you can see at the bottom right-hand or left-hand corner is the paved area ends there, and that'll get you up the slight hill into this next area where we'll be adding the secondary auxiliary building for the electricians. The first one will stay for our facilities team, and we'll have a lot of their storage. And then you can see there's a slight darker black line just to the right of the auxiliary building, the proposed one. That'll be a short retaining wall that'll handle the elevation change that also happens there, and then create a nice flat area for the biochar production facility. Crystal Courtney, our head of natural resources, who's been the Pied Piper of biochar from the beginning, her team worked really hard with KZF and Travis's team to design this area to have maximal usable space. Obviously, there aren't a lot of examples of biochar production facilities in the country, and so we want to provide as much space as possible for them to grow into that and then to have all the space they need for all of their operations. You can see that at the bottom right and lower area, there's 8 dedicated material storage bays. So think things like big rock, small gravel, in between rock, mulch, potentially biochar once it's complete, material that needs to be shredded yet. It's just wood waste from the out in the world. We could have sand, we could have everything. It'll be on hard slabs, so they'll be able to scoop it up. We can even store salt there for winter operations. So to just have everything there. There will be a new water hydrant that will fulfill some of our requirements for the fire department, but will also allow us to fill up water trucks there or just other operational needs. And then on the extreme left, you can see that white space is what's called a level spreader, which is stormwater detention. Obviously, by changing this much of the space, we're going to change some of the stormwater, but as I said, currently it just kind of rolls down the hill anyways, and so we're going to try to make sure that we don't cause any damage with that and have a really logical way for that to be handled. And then lastly, in the very center of that triangle, there is a big shade tree up there that we're going to able to preserve. So some of that retaining wall too is, I think, to help keep that shade tree there. So who knows, whenever you do this much construction around a tree, you're definitely taking a little bit of a risk with it, but we think we'll be able to preserve that shade tree right in the middle of the campus.
Is there enough circulation area here for the trucks that will be coming in and out?
There is, and so it's not on this image, but where that black, if you go back, sorry. So where that black line is on the right, there are several images we have with big circles there. And that is the, it shows kind of the circle that is the diameter of what it would take for a truck to turn around there. So that's definitely something we've looked into. And then we also have several images where, well, there won't be dashed parking space lines up in the gravel area to the right. We have like drawn in the boxes that are individual cars, because obviously we're going to have both our operations team and our facilities team and the biochar team. So we want to make sure we have enough parking for all of both our city vehicles, but also all of their personal vehicles as they show up to work every day. Expanding I get really hand it to Travis and his team. We're joined by Chris McGee, our senior architect. They've really gone to a lot of painstaking effort to make sure that we're maximizing this 2. It was why I got excited about it. And when I first started mentioning this, to maximize this 2.5 acre campus into usable operational space, which is just at such a premium throughout our park system. And I'm really excited to do this for our team. We've also had just
A lot done on 2.5 acres.
right.
Yeah.
We've also just had countless meetings with both our operations team and our facilities team to maximize and get real good quality feedback. Sometimes I've heard in the past that there can feel like there's a disconnect between our planning and design team and the folks in the field. Obviously, that's true of any organization, but we've really gone out of our way to have a ton of meetings in this room with all of the electricians, and the plumbers, and the people that are taking care of our stuff, all of our operations team who are out mowing the grass and taking care of the park benches, and having them really give their input to maximize this. Obviously, anytime you put 2 of our parks children in the same room in their bunk beds, there's going to be some friction as they learn to work together. But we've really gone out of our way to try to make this as homey and as comfortable for them as possible. I talked too much, Travis. I did anything to add?
We're exciting. It's at the point as we're looking ahead to procurement, and obviously that's the next step, moving through that process. Jason said beginning of January. Expectation is by fall, we'll be coming out of that process, identifying general contractors, moving forward with construction. Phasing wise, we'll start with the biochar facility. So starting at the back end of the campus and moving outward is the plan. There's a lot of details there we're working through, but biochar is the top priority because the equipment's ready or almost ready. I believe in October it will be coming from Missouri. So we need to be working quickly to make sure that we can house that without to move it around and go through the logistics of because it's large equipment that requires cranes to lift and offload. So the least amount of movement of that equipment better. So that's the North Star, the milestone that we're trying to rush towards. But definitely the expectation is to see construction underway, certainly by the first of the calendar year, all depending on the weather as we're hitting the season, of course, but things are moving quickly.
I live on the streets, so you know, I've been excited.
It's very important in this that we get a highly competitive bid process. It's a big contract. And I think it will catch the eye of many contractors that are very capable to take on this project and that are interested in working at scale. So we're excited to see.
I'll add to that, our procurement team and central office would have weekly meetings where we talk about all the moving pieces, but they're aware of this one coming and aware of the need for this to be highly competitive. So they're looking forward to the opportunity to do promotion at a high level. So.
Good. You feel they're prepared to really take that out to market? I mean, oftentimes we're getting 1 or 2 bids, and that's not a competitive landscape.
We have this, along with the Inwood, have been brought up at every meeting over the last 3 months, just to make sure that seed is planted and these are coming and these are high priority and quickly. It was the reason they've come up at every meeting to keep them front and center on the mind. And I've been told that they when it comes to the promotion of these nationwide promotion, they're eager and have ideas. So that's all I can report. We'll be providing what we can to make sure that happens.
I can assure you that the procurement team, and I shout her out a lot, I'm sure she's not listening, but the new director of economic inclusion and procurement, Laura Castillo, has really taken a new mindset to all this stuff. I mean, this is one of the larger building projects that the city is undertaking over the next several years. And so they too are well aware that we often get a couple of bidders, and they are very eager to use this as a test case, I think, to try to get as many bidders as possible and really make this a competitive process.
What is the timeline for this RFP being launched?
So we will be submitting the documents to procurement. Expectation is in August. We have the lion's share of the work done, but as we're moving forward with packaging that up late this month, early August. So I'll give you a report at the August meeting where we're at. Hopefully at that point, we have handed the documentation to procurement, if not very, very close. It will take them some time to move through their procedures and processes. My expectation is it would be out September, October for the solicitation process.
Right.
And then that, obviously, there's a window there and reviewing of submittals. So we'll be into the fall where we're ready to make those decisions.
Great.
Perfect.
Exciting. Okay, no action item there. Thank you for the update. Ready forward?
Right.
Well, stick around, Travis. You're up now.
All right, thank you. So I have two action items on my report for you, starting with Washington Park, the irrigation system at Washington Park. We have some issues there. There's an existing system in the park, primarily focused on servicing the northern portion of the park. What this proposal, what I'm asking for today, is to proceed with a contract to expand, to repair and expand. So the system has some pop-up heads, but also has a lot of soaker hoses, which have been problematic. So this proposal will upgrade many of the soaker hoses, all of the soaker hoses, to a pop-up system and not only update and repair, but expand to the south, which hasn't been irrigated. So this proposal will get us a full irrigation system. This was brought to my attention by 3CDC earlier this year as a need. So through in conversations with them and recognizing that need, put in our horticulturalist staff to understand and verify the need and get their input on zones and coverage necessary for the system. Forever Green is city contractor vendor that has installed the system, that's very familiar with this system. So we've received a proposal from them and have a contract ready to go with your approval. So I'm asking for an approval amount of $182,718.75 with an additional 10% in contingency to be held if needed. The system is targeted to be online for next season, so we have a little time before we would pull the trigger and move forward with construction. But we're coming to you today to get the approval, so we're geared and ready to go. But we would have the system in place for the 27 growing season.
One thing to note, especially about this project, is over the last year or so, we've been doing, Washington Park opened in 2012. And so it is kind of hitting that 15-year-old state. And we've been working with 3CDC to kind of come up with a capital plan that will be phased in over many years. And that started with 3 years ago when we approved, and then over the next year did some concrete work around it and the north part of the irrigation. And then recently Travis, and I got to give Jenny a lot of credit for kind of the regular meetings we have with 3CDC, but this is a project that we're going to take on. 3CDC just recently replaced all of the stone and artificial turf in the dog park at Washington Park. And so it's just a really great example of the partnership we've developed with them.
Questions? Okay. Okay, I think we need a motion for this one, right? So is there a motion to approve the contract amount as Travis stated for the
So moved.
irrigation system? And a second?
Second.
Kate?
President Norris? Yes. Vice President Lee?
Yes.
Commissioner McCollum?
Yes.
Commissioner Nyers?
Yes.
Thank you.
Well,
Oh, I'm sorry.
it seems a little funny in here. We have peace on earth, the, HVAC system shut down. I
I was getting a little cold, so I gave head of the high sign.
feel like the whole vibe has changed. All right, Smale Cascades, very exciting.
Second action item, this is a repair, so a portion of these this is a Vine Street Cascade, so the far western, the westernmost cascade in the park. In the far western, along the steps, if you've been down there recently, it's turned off. It hasn't been on this year. We have a serious significant leak there is going underneath in the storage, so we've turned that one off. The cascades on the right of those steps are still on, but also leaking. That's a slower leak. They're seeping out into the stairs. We monitor that just for safety. But it's repair is needed. This is a complicated system. It's covered by granite, so digging down to the membrane, understanding where the leak is coming from, what's causing the leak is our big question marks. So what this proposal or what this request is to move forward with a contract with THP. THP is very familiar with these cascades, very familiar with Smale. They are bringing on a sub that is an expert in water systems, water fountain systems to assist and help them evaluate, help us evaluate where the leaks are coming from. So this request is $52,220 contract, again, with a 10% additional contingency to go through an evaluation process to determine where the leaks are coming from and what the methods are to repair those leaks. So this is a planning study. It's a 6-week exercise. At the end of that 6-week, we will have specific steps that we'll know to take in construction and repair. And we have had conversations. This evaluation is going to require the removal of stones. If we get into this and it's identified that it's a minimal repair, we've got a light tear somewhere that can be fixed while stones are off, we'll activate, proceed. That's where this contingency may come to play. We're not expecting it to be that easy, but there's a chance. Monitoring this as we go through, as they go through the evaluation. So we're interested to learn from the evaluation. The other thing that we'll be learning and they'll be recommending to us is ongoing maintenance techniques so that we can do a better job of making sure that we're keeping up with the right sealant, the right mortar, the right caulking that's necessary to avoid leaks from getting in, growing from a small situation to a large situation, which we suspect that's the situation here, based on the age of the system. The other thing that I haven't mentioned, maybe more exciting thing, this particular cascade, the water that's running through this is coming out of the geothermal system that's used to heat the buildings at Smale. This is unique to all the other cascades. It was a learning, emerging technology and a learning effort at the time it was constructed. And we've learned that there's more problems with the water quality in this cascade based on that source of water. So what we're asking the consultant to do in this contract, in addition to identifying the leak and telling us how to solve it, is to plan for us a recirculation system, which will require the addition of a tank. So we'll need to locate an appropriate size tank and how the pump and the system would need to be installed to recirculate. Again, this is a planning study, so they'll be providing those documents. We'll be able to estimate the cost and make a decision if we want to move in that direction. But in working with our operations team and just the algae that grows and the level of cleaning that's required in this cascade compared to others, it's absolutely worth evaluating and considering. So that's part of this contract as well. I'm happy to answer any questions.
So it sounds like it will take some time for this to be addressed. So I have a question.
Yep.
The picture on the right here, is that the current condition?
That's an old picture, but yeah,
Can we at least,
we can clean. I believe it's clean. I don't think we have the algae there, but
yeah,
it's been clean, but the white that you see, it's still, even without the green, it's not a pretty sight. There's a lot of staining on the granite. So back to their recommendations, THP and their, in this study, the recommendations of how to seal, how to keep up with, the aesthetics of the granite will be part of those recommendations. What type of sealer, how often to apply.
That would be my request. Let's just keep it as cleaned up as we possibly can. This is, you know, my saying, broken park, broken city. You know, this really just represents the vibrancy of Cincinnati, this park particularly. So it's important to always have our best foot forward in this park, even if we have a repair that will take, keep the condition in the best state possible. So great. Well, I'm excited. This has been a persisting issue. So I'm excited to see you've got a plan for addressing this.
Plan for a plan.
Plan for a plan.
Stepping through.
Right. Plan to make a plan. Questions or comments on the cascades? Right, well, we've got an action here. Okay, so this is $52,000 contract plus 10% for contingency. And this is the contract with THP for their consulting services, as you just described. Is there a motion to approve that contract?
Motion to approve the contract.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Okay,
President Horn.
yes.
Vice President Lee.
Yes.
Commissioner McCallum.
Yes.
Commissioner Knight.
Yes.
Great, thank you.
That concludes my action items. In my report, there's a series of updates for you. Again, happy to, as usual, happy to answer any questions if there's any that you have on any of the items. I went ahead a couple quickly. We've already covered Sinton. That's at the top of the list. Just beneath that is Owl's Nest Park. We have kicked off with KZF.
Great.
We had a kickoff meeting on July 2nd with their full team. Since then, they have been on site to evaluate the pavilion, and we have reaffirmed that it is savable. So the engineer is moving forward with the plan, with the design. There's a meeting actually just starting this morning with the landscape architecture team and our horticulturalist to make sure that as we're finalizing the details on the planting plans and the landscape, we're getting their input and on plant material and maintenance concerns. So that's underway. Next milestone is mid-September. So we'll have more to report with September, October time period. That's when we'll have the 50% documents and initial cost estimates from the KZF team. But that one's on track and moving forward. Glenway Park, also moving forward. We reported last month we've received 100% documents. We're waiting on CFS to open to proceed with the ITB, which is a solicitation of contractors for the new entrance there. So moving forward on that. And next month, we will be convening the community group again. We've met them multiple times throughout the planning process for the park to get their input. We're excited about August because the focus of August will be the playground. So that will be the next feature to work out the details for and implement, and hoping to see that implementation occur yet this calendar year. Certainly early 27, if not this calendar year. But the target is to make decisions with the community in August, get moving forward with the vendor and see that facility up by the end of the year. So with that, I'll stop. But if there's any other project here you have questions on, answer them.
I hear that there is a new project plan schedule. You have yours right there. I heard you all issued one in June.
Yes.
Right. Then what for Glenway Park?
Yeah.
You said having the facility up by this year.
Well, Glenway Park is the one interesting one, and Commissioner Nyer pointed this out when we were reviewing this last month. It's one where we have a planning stage, construction stage, planning stage, construction stage. We have multiple components in Glenway Park. So the playground, as I just mentioned, and planning stages now will be accelerating the contract period of that with hopes of having implementation by the end of the year for that piece. The entryway will be going out to bid later this month, August. So the expectation would be by fall, we would be under contract. That may be an early 27 construction. A lot will depend on the weather and the timing of actually getting that contract in hand, but that's a separate track, if you will. Other tracks in this include masonry improvement, which I expect will go quickly once we determine the solicitation process for that. But we want to have the right contractor for that. So that could be an early 27 activity as well.
Well, I recall that we have some generous donors interested in a ribbon cutting date. So when do we have a ribbon cutting for this? Construction planning.
We'll work with, I have had conversations with Lindsay at the foundation on that. There was discussion this summer. We'll connect and figure out a right time. I know at one point we talked about having a sign. I don't have an answer. That's not scheduled.
We need to have a construction start date to have a ribbon cutting date. That's the key. Great. Well, that's very exciting. Any other items that commissioners would like to discuss in this report? We've got Inwood coming up.
Yeah, that one, the RFP will be packaged up, submitted to procurement this month. This is a large one, as you know. So we're working closely with them. The expectation would be September, October to get this on the street, going through review of design team proposals late in the year. And the target is calendar year 27 to have the contract and to begin early in first quarter of 27 with the community engagement, stakeholder engagement, and going through a 12-month long process for design.
That's another one where we're going to want to really broaden the reach of that solicitation to get as many possible vendors as possible. It seems like our work has paid off as we've got some potential bidders that are stalking us at our meeting today. So we want to welcome our guests as always, but definitely part of our efforts to get as many people as possible interested in it. So it's going to be a fun one.
Great. Travis, thank you.
Thank you.
We're moving a lot of big stuff forward here.
It's all fun. It's all great. Still pinching myself. Thank you.
The 7th meeting.
And before you come up here, we might need a little air.
Okay.
Getting kind of toasty.
The other way.
Thank you. That's probably fine. Welcome.
Thank you. Well, my report is going to be pretty brief because this is the time of year when CFS gets shut down so that the city can do all the year-end stuff. And it just came back up yesterday midday, so haven't had a chance to prepare the June reports yet. But that doesn't mean that we're just laying around doing nothing. So lots going on. In June, our primary focus was ensuring that the city had everything they needed for ending the fiscal year, all of our accruals and reports and everything to them. We also were working on compiling the FY27 budget to send out to all of the people in parks so that everybody knew what their budget is for this next fiscal year and how it's broken up. And I'm happy to report that for the first time since I've been here, the 430 budget, which is the Parks Endowment budget, was released to everybody at the same time as the city budget. So in years past, and I believe at least for a few years prior to me coming, that budget was released like in August and September. And so there was always that lag between, how much are we going to get in 430 money and what's my real budget going to be? So this year they have it all at once. And that's super exciting for me. So with that, we've also provided a tool that allows each individual group, each manager to look at, to basically slice and dice their budget any way they want and look at, how much money do I have coming from this fund, or how much do I have in horticultural supplies, or how much do I have, for this activity. And so that's something that they haven't had in the past either. So as we move forward, we just keep getting more and more transparency in what we're doing on the financial side, both, me to you guys, but also within parks, within each of the different management groups. So very, very exciting for me. In addition to that, let's see, we're still working with city budget, counts and audits and law to see about consolidating 3 of our funds, which it'll do a number of things by combining those 3 funds. But the main goal is to increase the flexibility in the use of the funds and the way that the funds are managed. Because it's essentially all self-generated revenue. It's just like pigeonholed with, this is Crone, and this is the lodges, and this is all of our other stuff. And there's really no functional reason to have them separate. So we were really cruising down the road to get that done. And then all of a sudden there was a question of, well, is the original purpose of those funds, why they were established, still happening, or has it ceased? And depending upon what the answer is, changes what track we have to go down to consolidate the funds. And so law is currently in the process of trying to get some ordinances from, back in the 30s that originally established the funds. Once they get that and can identify what the purpose was, they can determine whether we can just do it within the city or whether we have to petition the state. So that's kind of the hang up right now. So we were hoping to have this by July 1st, and it looks like it's realistically more going to be next biennium. So fiscal year 28.
I don't mean to laugh. I know that this is serious stuff, but it is bizarre.
It is. It is. Agreed.
Funny teams meeting.
I've been working on this since this time last year when I was like, why do we have these 3 separate funds? There's no reason for this. And I thought in November we were, just about ready to pull the trigger.
Never stop fighting the bureaucracy.
I'm working on it. All right. And then on the other end of things in the IT world, our team of 2 is, still just kicking butt and taking names, to be honest. They are rolling out all kinds of new stuff for our parks. They've created a really great relationship with the city ETS. It kind of started with the camera project, getting coordination and collaboration with different people at ETS with, so who installs the cameras and who monitors them and where do they go and where does the money come from? And in those conversations, they've built relationships and been able to bring up other topics of interest for parks, like Wi-Fi, like city networking, and so forth. And so in those conversations, when you get siloed into different groups, it's really easy to just get focused on your own thing and not realize that there's a ripple impact elsewhere. And so in those conversations, ETS has a goal of having city Wi-Fi as available as possible and having the city network available at as many sites as possible. And then we have that same goal to have it in our spaces. And so in those conversations, it's like, oh, we all want the same thing. How can we make that happen? And so right now, Matt and Dom are working with ETS to figure out how we do it, who would pay for it, what's the timing, and so forth, of expanding both city networking and Wi-Fi to our staffed locations in parks. And so at this point in time, they're talking specifically about 13 different staff locations for adding City of Cincinnati wireless, which will be fantastic. If you've ever tried to go to a meeting and have your laptop connect, it can be super frustrating. So anyway, it takes some time, back to bureaucracy, takes some time to make these things happen, but they are motivated and moving forward with trying to get as much done as quickly as possible.
And like a lot of things that's starting to happen ahead of time as well. So for instance, we referenced moving the electricians from Central Avenue to Centon. We're going to move our mechanics from Centon to Central Avenue. And so one of the projects that Travis and Seema are working on that we've already approved is the design of that facility. Part of that is going to be getting the city Wi-Fi there, which is different than having like Ultra Fiber or Spectrum, right? Because you're already on the network, you have access to all your files without going through a portal. But that's going to be part of the project that happens already. So Matt's already talking to City ETS. The Central Avenue is just right down the street from City Hall, which is where the hub of it is. And so they're going to run it through the sewer system's the wrong word, but through the infrastructure in the street that will run down the street and be there when they get started. So they'll have access to all their files. Additionally, we've been working with them. we actually learned through this process that one of the masonry brick buildings up at Sinton is an ETS hub. And so we are talking to them and going to do some design work to change some of how their wiring works as part of this project as well. So we're really getting ahead of things, not only catching up with getting Wi-Fi to all of our buildings, but getting ahead of things as well. So
Nice work.
That's my report for the month.
Great job. And great job to the team.
Yeah, thank you.
I know it's been a heavy lift. You've accomplished a lot.
You know, it really makes such a difference when you have a staff that is supportive and will, you know, is willing to take on extra projects and, hey, could you look into this and see what you can find out about that? And just to do it willingly and to get that information. It really allows us to make better decisions and more strategic decisions and more timely decisions. So,
And are really making the improvements.
Yeah.
Many hands make light work.
That's right. Thank you.
Thank you. No, Derek?
Derek is unfortunately at civil service, as he so often is. You can see some of the key stats on the front page and some of the job postings we have. But if you flip over to page 13, you can see we've really started a big hiring process. Last year, we had several positions that were on hold. So we right-sized some different parts of our budget, identified some overspending in our seasonal and our overtime budgets and gotten those worked out. Everything's been aligned and we've started the path of hiring all of these jobs. And so we're currently in the final interview stage for the manager of our facilities and maintenance team. We're also in the final steps of hiring an administrative specialist for Travis's team. And then some of our jobs, I know there was some testing for the arborist 1 and 2 position that have been happening. They're developing the tests and lists for some of the other positions like truck driver, laborer, and horticulturalist. So just a lot of stuff moving forward on a lot of levels. It's been really great. Additionally, and you can read about it here, but Derek and his team have been updating the policy manual. It was last comprehensively updated in 2019. And so we're taking a look at all that. Everything generally still applies, but we're making sure that if there have been any updates to city policies, that we align those, or if there's just been any updates to policies in general. You know, things are changing all the time, but we're going to get that all kind of in one spot. And then everybody that as we hire them will kind of sign for their employee handbook, which we haven't done in a while. So that's really exciting. I think that covers it. So Derek and his team hard at work getting all that updated and ready to go. And I think all of our managers have been really excited and really engaged in that process.
Perfect. We move on to some big grants.
Correct. So we're joined by Kara Shermer on our team.
Come on up here. Bring here. We want to recognize you.
Yes.
So several pages of great detail here, but I'll give you the quick overview. So on page 15, you see kind of covering several of the grants we're going for. First up is a grant from the foundation. This is the Threes for Trees program. That is a partnership between the foundation, Cincinnati Parks, Formica, and Xavier University. But Formica gives a certain amount of money to Cincinnati Parks through the foundation for every 3-pointer made by the team. This year it totaled $9,500. Rocky, who's stepped out, but Rocky, Xavier graduate, was excited that we did a kind of photo opportunity with several basketball players, somebody from the women's team and somebody from the men's team, and we planted a tree over on Victory Parkway and some park property, which was pretty fun. So that's one of them. Next up is the Ohio Environmental Education Fund. We're applying for $25,000. This is the Cincinnati Conservation Corps project that has grown out of a grant we got a year ago. This is our second attempt at trying to get some funding for this. And this is creating like a STEM curriculum that will be kind of field-based in Mount Airy Forest for teens and young adults to try to create that pipeline of going to summer camp, learning about it in high school and working a little bit, and then eventually working your way through to eventually being a future parks director, as Blair from APAC said earlier. So we're applying for that, really exciting. Then we have 2 rather big ones. The first one is the Water Resource, I always mess this one up, the Water Resource Restoration Sponsor Program. Easy for me to say. The water resource, the WRRSP, we'll just call it. But this is a big grant that's available, and we are going to be applying for this for California Woods as part of our big project there.
What is this organization? Or who is it?
Yes, through Ohio EPA.
Okay, got it.
Yep. It's an interesting program where the infrastructure projects that occur throughout the state with bigger, like MSD or other sewer districts take on these big projects and they get loans. And then a part of that is an allocation of that loan fund goes to restoration projects. So we get matched with a sponsor. And then basically our job is to improve water quality in Ohio and kind of go alongside some of these major infrastructure projects.
It's great.
California Woods, we're working with Stantec, right? And they are finalizing designs of that this fall. We should have complete designs for that. And we'll be bidding. That's another one that Travis will be bidding out and we'll have hopefully underway next year. And so this is, we still don't know the full scope of what those cost estimates are. We've got about $1.5 million set aside for it, but this will be basically approving us up to $2 million to apply to make sure we get to do all of the way that's being designed is we'll be able to kind of pick and choose from the menu. So they'll design, let's say 100% of available options to do. And then depending on available funding, we'll do 25%, 50% of that, or hopefully all 100% of that. So this is one of the ways that CARE is going to take a swing at getting us some additional funds for it. And then the next way is through the Ohio Public Works Commission and the Clean Ohio Fund. And so we're asking for approval to apply for 2 grants up to $2 million. One would be for the acquisition of the green space that is near Mount Storm Park that we've talked about in several meetings. We're working with our friends at the Parks Foundation. They're trying to raise the match for that. And then that's up to 75% or 74% because we want the extra points for going above 75% or above 25% match to acquire that land and preserve it for all time, similar to what we did with the green space in Mount Adams. And then the other $1 million would be to apply to for restoration for California Woods. And so we can apply to do restoration work as well. And so we're hoping to potentially apply for both those. And this is approval to give us authorization to do that.
Great. So I've brought this up a few times. This is the reason to fight the bureaucracy. Spent multiple years getting CARE's position approved through whatever methods are required. And it illustrates it's paid off so well already with the grants that you've secured. I recall in the beginning of my tenure, I was reading up on a $150,000 Ohio EPA grant. And I came back to the then director and said, we have to apply for this grant. And the next meeting, APAC came in because they had received the grant. So I was even late and it really wasn't on our radar as a park board or with staff. And we recognized very quickly there are so many resources out there that we can put to great use. And I'm glad that you're coming in here day in and day out doing that. So I then certainly endorse the application for these grants. Very exciting. Any questions, comments for Kara or Jason? Great. Is there a motion to approve? Well, let's see. We're applying for 3 grants, which 2 are with.
All told, it's 4. So 1 for the Parks Foundation for 3 extra trees, 1 for the.
We applied for that grant as well.
Correct, yeah.
So 4 grants, 1 from Cincinnati Parks Foundation for $9,500. 1 for the Ohio EPA for 2,025,000. And 1 from OPWC for $2 million.
2 for each of those. Yeah. 2 Ohio EPA grants. One's the Ohio Environmental Education Fund. The other one is WRSP. And then 2 Clean Ohio grant potentials.
Okay.
So many grants, it's hard to keep track of.
Yeah, the one from Ohio EPA is from 2 different programs. The one from Clean Ohio is the 1 program, but 2 grants.
Oh, I see. I don't think that's indicated here. Okay, great. Is there a motion to approve?
I move to approve.
Second.
President Thorn.
Yes.
Vice President,
Yes.
Mr. McCollum, Vice Chair Knight.
Yes.
Great work.
Thank you so much.
Very exciting. We still have more action items.
Home stretch.
More donations.
Yep. So these are two funds that are available through the Greater Cincinnati Foundation. They're unique in that they're not we get some funding from them that's automatic, and we get some funding that we have to request each year. So these are two funds that Hedda and her team identified that we needed to request for. The first is $11,756.72 from the Joseph H. Bassey Fund. And the second one is the Park Board Volunteers Fund. Park Board Volunteers was a group in the 70s that used to do a lot of work at Crone, and then we still have some funds available on an annual basis. So one of them is to fund the Green Garden in Mount Airy, and the other one funds seasonal maintenance in Mount Airy, the Hinkle Gardens, and in All Park.
Wonderful. Total $19,178.48. Is there a motion to approve acceptance?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
President Thorn.
Yes.
Vice President Lee,
Yes.
McCollum, yes.
Yes.
Outstanding.
So, and then last up is the in-kind donations from the Cincinnati Parks Foundation. This is on a quarterly basis. As you can see, $214,583.64. Just a ton of things. I'll highlight just a couple. The fourth one down is decal impressions. This is for the beautiful new butterfly that is at the Crone Conservatory. It's designed in such a way that every year for every butterfly show, we can get new decals to make it kind of unique for that butterfly show. A little bit further down, you can see a couple other payments. The final payment for the butterfly to Iron Bell Metal Design. You can also see, and this is going to be a surprise for our friends at City Hall, but every year at the holiday show, we have these beautiful wooden buildings that are displayed along the train system. From our friends at Applied Imagination. This year, we're getting a City Hall model made. So we're really excited. We're going to have a big unveiling of that at City Hall for City Council and the mayor and the city manager to enjoy. And then, of course, the biggest line item on there is $131,000, which is a generous gift from Neil Bortz of Town Properties, was the design work to design the new steps that are kicking off construction any day now. That will go from Mount Adams at Paradrome and Louder Street up to Playhouse in the Park, and will complete kind of the necklace of steps that starts down here at the corner of Gilbert and Mead Park Drive and goes all the way through kind of our arts district park and goes to Mount Adams. Very generous, and then just a host of other awesome things the Parks Foundation does for us. Thank you, Lindsay.
Awesome. Very exciting. Excited about this stuff. Is there a motion to approve? Second?
President North.
Yes.
Vice President Lee,
Yes.
Mr. McCollum,
Yes.
Today.
Yes.
Parks Foundation. Okay, we've got a performance agreement here.
Oh, correct. So our performance agreements are something that the city manager's office directs to all departments through the Office of Performance and Data Analytics. We work all year long to measure various things in the Parks Department. You guys have seen these metrics many times at many different levels. They're used in our budget process. They're used in performance management meetings with the city manager's office. And so one step they've added in is that for boards and commissions of the city, they now want formal approval of these. I think in the past, President North, I think you just signed them, but this time we're going to have an official approval. So I thought, why not just make a little presentation for you? So next slide, that's from our all staff. So first we get to have 3 accomplishments that we get to include in this. So our first accomplishment is once again being a top 10 city, Park City. This year we were ranked 5th. Always great, and so many other partners help us make that happen, but just a great accomplishment and one that we're always so proud of. Next up is Park activation, you can see the numbers in there, 500 community partnered events, 1,000 event rentals, 51 park produced events, 970 nature education programs, 101 location, 32,000 individuals, just getting park button. A lot of parks is just passively people showing up and enjoying it, but there's a lot of work that goes into really making sure we're having a great time there. And then lastly, several major capital improvements, including the restoration of Friendship Park, the opening of the new bike skills course in Mount Airy, fixing the Valley Trail in Alt Park, lots of stuff going on there. Next up, so we have 5 metrics that we measure ourselves on, that we report out on. We actually have, I think, 10 that we are measuring, but these are the 5 that we're held for our reporting standards in these presentations. The first one is community engagement, and that's the goal is to get 85% of the previous year's engagements. And this is a little bit of a like the way performance management works is the goal might not seem super aggressive because the goal basically means you're doing good and then you can do better than good. And then if you do fall under, that's kind of like alert. We need to be looking at that. So we're obviously always trying to be even better than before, but this is for the measuring standpoint and for the dashboard. We were a little bit below this year as our new social media director was brought on board. But then we've really overperformed in the second half of the year and we've caught back up to hit that. So that's another mark we're going to do next year. Nature education, that's for 70% of participants to be very satisfied or extremely satisfied. As you'll recall, we originally had satisfied, very satisfied, or extremely satisfied, and we were doing so well that we dropped satisfied off. It's no longer good enough for us. We want to only get very satisfied or extremely satisfied, and we're hitting that. Parks operations and beautification, this is to have less than 30 CSRs for litter or overflowing trash can per quarter. So that's less than 10 per month. We continue to achieve this, just very rare that someone has to report in that we're having a problem in a park. Our team just knocks it out. 90% of all urban forestry CSRs closed within 30 days. These are the down street trees, branch, fallen tree after storms. And then lastly, maintain at least 75% of the previous year's volunteer base per quarter, which again, Crystal Johnson just does such an outstanding job that we are hitting that every year. We also measure number of people that do it, but we also measure number of hours that it's done too. 2 metrics to measure kind of how well we're getting volunteers on a park. I think it's over $1.5 million of value every year. So then we also get to have 2 projects that we are going to report on all year long. So first up is Glenway. So not only are you asking President North, what's the timeline and when is this going to happen, but the city manager's office also is. So we're really excited to bring this new accessible entrance to play and also the new playground and other features of this restoration. Again, and I'm just really proud this is a park that hasn't been invested in a generation. It's a smaller park. It's a neighborhood park in East Price Hill. And I think, oftentimes we see our great friends from Alt Park and we see some of our communities where there's a lot of investment, and we're really excited to bring in some investment to East Price Hill. And then next up is, of course, the Sinton Campus Project, which I've already said far too much on, but we couldn't be more excited to be measuring ourselves against this one as well. And so that is kind of our performance metrics. Should we do a vote on that just to officially approve it? And then Director North will sign. I think we have a paperwork that might be in your folder for you to sign, but if we could just do a quick vote to officially approve that these are how we're going to measure ourselves and send to the city manager's office.
These are basically the same as last year, right?
Correct.
And these were added with this.
Yep. This is just I sign it every year, and now they've added the extra step of having the board be in the loop on that.
Why are we approving this?
You don't necessarily have to, but you will be signing. There's a document for you to sign that formally approves it for the board.
Great.
You don't necessarily have to take a vote.
Yeah. I mean, my general position is if our charter doesn't require our approval.
Okay. Perfect.
But if any insights or input to it?
Works for me.
Yeah. See, Jason, you have additional comments. You want to tell us all what's going on that we haven't already heard about?
A long meeting, but we're still well under 2 hours. Lots of agenda items, but I'm very excited. So first up, International Youth Convention Volunteer Day. So we were approached by the International Youth Convention, which is organized by the Church of God Ministries. It was in Cincinnati earlier this month, and I can tell you downtown was packed with kids from across the country. They were looking for a volunteer service opportunity, so we accommodated 200 teens on July 1st. They did litter pickups, horticultural work. We had group volunteering at Crone. They were at Eden Park, Smale, Fairview, Bellevue, Mount Echo, Central Parkway, and more. Hot day, but lots of kids out there doing work to make our parks beautiful. Next up is the Mill Creek Greenway Trail Cleanup. So this is a really interesting trail through kind of Carthage along the Mill Creek. It was created in like the 80s. Some of the land is on Mill Creek Conservation District property. Some of it is on MSD property. Some of it is on our property, Cincinnati Recreation Commission. But it's a trail that unfortunately doesn't get enough attention. And so we partnered with a bunch of organizations, including Keep Cincinnati Beautiful, the Mill Creek Alliance, Carthage Civic League, and the Cincinnati Health Department to clean up a bunch of trash and dumping that had happened along this trail, which touches both I'm blanking on the nature preserve, sorry. But I touched one of our nature preserves and also Seymour Preserve. Caldwell. Thank you, sir. I don't know why I was like Carthage and I was looking at Carthage on this page paper and I couldn't get it out.
Boyhood Park.
There you go. But it starts at Caldwell Nature Preserve and Caldwell Recreation Area, and then it works its way through a bunch of other stuff and it gets down to Seymour Preserve. And then it will also be part of what Tri-State Trails is working on to create the Mill Creek bike path. So anyway, it's just a great project, but also tough work. And so just really want to thank our team for that. Next up, you know, graffiti is a problem that plagues parks around the country. And, you know, our team is super frustrated by it. Park users are super frustrated by it. There are folks think that is artwork, but that is not helping our parks look great. Just can't thank enough. Service crew leader for the eastern half of the Eastern District region, Wendell Brock, who spent 3.5 hours of relentless work to remove this graffiti. Just a big shout out to him for this specific project, but this is exemplary. And look at that. I mean, it's like it was never there. But this is exemplary of what are some of the things our teams do all the time. We often will talk about mowing grass or taking up trash, picking up litter, but there's just countless things they do to keep our parks looking awesome and to keep those CSRs down. So this was Stanberry Park.
Stanberry.
Yeah. So, but look at that. It's just like it was never there. Fantastic work. A lot of events on 4th of July, all over the city. The Alt Park fireworks, look at that cool photo with the golf cart there. The Alt Park fireworks. We also had a reading of the Declaration of Independence at Season Good Square, which was second year of that, super well attended. Just a lot of great events, and our team does a great job to just keep everything looking good, get it all set up, get it all torn down. I know our team worked like 3 consecutive 16-hour days to get all of the stuff that happened for around the fireworks 4th of July done. Just couldn't be happier with them. Next up. A ton of events happening. So we've got Rapid Run Family Fun Days happens Fridays in the summer through August 7th. The next one is tomorrow. The theme is art creation and features performances by Miss Joni, a local children's singer and performer. The fun includes crafting stations provided by Cincinnati Art Museum. Other themes for future events are circus night, music and dance, and nature exploration. This is thanks to the Rapid Run Advisory Council and support from the Parks Foundation. AfriFest, which is coming up this Saturday. It kicks off at Sawyer Point in Yeatman's Cove, the largest celebration of African arts and culture. It's a free, family-friendly festival with African drumming, dancing, fashion, authentic cuisine, and a market with handcrafted goods. This used to be at Burnett Woods, but it grew so big that we had to move it down to our big event space down at Sawyer Point in Yeatman's Cove. Also on Saturday is Swing at Dusk at Olden View Park. Experienced swing dancers will show off their moves, and expert lessons will be given from instructors from the Cincinnati Dance Academy. This is a partnership with the Olden View PAC, Price Hill Wellness Community Action Team. It should be a great time. Saturdays in the park, free concerts on the third Saturday of the month, morning of the month in Inwood Park, featuring donuts, coffee, and music, sponsored by the Clifton Cultural Arts Center. Each concert features different type of music. The band this Saturday is Ethan Mills and the Lowdowns. Sunday Family Fun Days are something new this year as part of the Summer in Cincy programming. These are designed to activate lesser activated areas in the city. The first one is Hawkins Recreation Area in East Walnut Hills on July 26th. The next one will be held at Oilish Spray Ground in Price Hill on August 16th. These represent a partnership with CRC, City Manager's Office and Parks, and include all sorts of family fun, inflatable games, petting zoo, face painting, and free food. A couple years ago, City Manager wanted to have more youth programming as part of the Summer in Cincy programming. We don't do a ton of youth-specific programming or team programming. She was funded us with some additional staff people that help out with Rec at Night all year long, but then we also took on adding a couple of events that aren't even in parks, but are out in the community where we need to get some good activation. So really excited about this. And Lou's team, Dee and Andrea, are just doing a great job of doing events. They're two of the people that are team members that were working those 16-hour days, but they're still got more stuff happening. The On Point Music Festival is back August 7th, and Friday, August 7th, and Saturday, August 8th. Once again, an awesome lineup of bands headlined by the Tillers, Trauma Illinois, and Marie Corelli. There will also be activities going on in the roller rink, beach volleyball courts, and pickleball tournament. Something for everyone. And this is one that's another partnership with the Cincinnati Parks Foundation, Mad Tree, Inhaler Radio, and of course, Skate Downtown Cincinnati. Prairies in Bloom is a free guided exploration that's happening at French Park on August 8th. Peek at the bloom time for local prairies. And this event features some amazing prairie flower blooms, bees, butterflies, and more. Participants will get to experience and learn all about what makes our prairies so important and special. And then the last thing on my list here is the 38th annual Black Family Reunion returns to Sawyer Point, Yeatman's Cove, August 13th to 16th. Always a great summer tradition, and we're so proud to have them back this year. Cool.
Going on? Great, Nurse.
I had one question if I could, and I apologize that my remote location may make this redundant. The APAC report referenced illegal parties. I would assume that could be something outside of park operating hours, but I'm based on some of our recent experience, sensitive to language around, if a group of people gathers to have a party in a park, that's often the very use parks are intended for. So I just want to explore that a little bit. And it may well be in that appendix, and I apologize for any redundancy in there, but.
Excellent question. And certainly, I don't know. Effectively, what happens is, and the police department monitors this stuff, but there will be a social media post that says, hey, everybody, we're all going to gather in this park, but it's not at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It's not at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It's not even at 8 or 9 in the afternoon. It's at like midnight. And so what makes it illegal is that it's after park operating hours. And so what'll happen is it's kind of like a pop-up party, and there'll be this big convergence. It's not a takeover per se, but it certainly is after hours and can cause a lot of noise. And then sometimes can lead to excessive litter or whatever. So those are the kind of things they're referring to.
Thank you. I appreciate that clarification. You see in retail parking lots, car clubs, okay, at midnight it's the hours. It's not necessarily the nature of the activity. It's the time that is out of compliance with our long established and well understood regulations. Thank you for that clarification.
Absolutely.
And John, it also says in the report that there was illegal activity involved in a car chase.
Car chase, but excitement in the park. So thank you.
All right, I think that concludes our meeting. Adjourn.